Welcome back to Strategy Simplified. As you already know, right now, it's peak hiring season for a lot of candidates across the globe. Consulting firms are hiring, interview invites are being sent out, and there are more application deadlines coming right around the corner, which means more case interviews right around the corner as well. If you haven't already, get your case interview prep underway. Listen in to this case interview demonstration to learn what to expect in a real case interview. In this case, it's in a BCG case. The case is led by Marcus Jilla, a management consultant coach and a former BCG consultant and project leader. The case is really fun. It features a golf ball manufacturer and supplier considering entering a new market. The key question the candidate must answer is, should we enter this market, and if so, how? The interviewee or the candidate must consider the question, structure a problem-solving approach, conduct research analysis, and ultimately provide a strong recommendation with supporting arguments. Grab a pencil, paper, and follow along to see how you fare with this case. By the way, did you know that Marcus is a member of our coaching team? He works with candidates one-on-one to prep them for case interviews using a structured approach. You can join a management consultant program like our Black Belt program. It's our most popular case prep program, giving you 8 hours of coaching, resume edits, and a whole lot more. There are just a couple of seats left for the upcoming cohort. Link in the show notes to join Black Belts today. All right, without further ado, let's get into this episode with Marcus.
So just a little aside to the audience here. If we work together, we would typically use the first call as a little bit of a diagnostic to see where you're at. And often we'll use the first 1 or 2 or 3 mock cases to kind of go through feedback live rather than simulate a full case. When someone is a little bit more comfortable casing, we'll generally simulate a full interview. So effectively, we'll run through the full case as a live interview, and I'll give constructive feedback at the end. Given Parth is getting ready to interview, and given the nature of the call today, we're going to work it that way. So we'll treat this as a live BCG interview. We'll run the interview end to end as a case, and I'll give Parth feedback at the end. So that's what we're going to do today. So Parth, you know the drill. Let me know when you're ready, and we can get going with the case.
Sure.
Excellent. So Parth, our client is the Titleist Golf Ball Company. It's a global manufacturer and supplier of golf balls, and it's present in almost every market in the world right now. The one country where the company's golf balls are not yet available is the African country of Malawi. Currently, the brand has no representation whatsoever in the country, and we have no information on the size of the market. But it has come to the CEO's attention that this might be an interesting market to enter. As a little bit of background, Malawi is a small country between Tanzania, Zambia, and Mozambique. It has a population of 11 million, and its GDP per capita is around $200 a year. There's no detailed, reliable information on population demographics that is available to us. So the CEO of the Titleist Golf Ball Company wants to know, should they enter this market? And if so, how should they do so?
Okay. So our client is a golf balls company. They manufacture golf balls and they are present over every market in the world except for the country of Malawi. So far what we know about Malawi is we don't have any representation over there. Their population is 11 million and the GDP per capita is around 200 million US dollars. And the client has asked us should they enter the market or not. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Just a few things to clarify. So the GDP is $200 per capita, rather than, I think you said 200 million. And secondly, just to clarify the task. So the task is to advise whether they should enter the market, and if so, how. Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, should they enter? Okay, no problem. So, I'd like to know a little bit about client's business. I mean, what's their business model currently?
Yep, sure. So, any specific details you'd like to know about that?
Oh yeah, so how does our client make money? Is it through B2B or D2C or any other sources of income that the client has?
Makes sense. So Titleist manufactures golf balls. You can consider that they have several manufacturing plants globally. So they might service North America from some plants in North America and Asia from some plants in Asia, for example. Probably not so important for the purposes of this exercise. They also sell them and distribute them. So they might sell directly to golf courses, major sports retailers, etc. In some markets, they might work through third-party distributors, partners, JVs, sales agents, etc. They may also sell online through marketplaces or direct-to-consumer. So as with a lot of sports companies right now, they'd have several different channels, and each of those channels would obviously have slightly different sort of economics and means of execution. But you can consider that they have a range of channels that it differs depending on the market.
Right, right. So, okay. Does our client have any specific objective, like to meet our break even in certain point, or to have certain number of revenue in mind that they want to achieve?
No specific numbers, but I'd be interested to hear from you. Do you have any thoughts on what kinds of objectives they might be looking for?
For example, if they enter this market, there'd be certain investment they want to make. In terms of selling, or they may want to, break even in 5 years or 3 years of point, or they wanted to make certain kind of sales in the market that they have certain amount of market share in the country itself, because we are going to a very new country. So that kind of things that comes to my mind.
Yep, I think those are fair. I think for the purposes of this exercise, we can consider that they would like to be profitable, and they would like to grow their business overall. There are no specific objectives in terms of market share or specific profitability numbers.
Okay. Sounds good. And one last question. So our client wants to sell into the new country of Milave. So will we be importing the golf balls from different plant and from different plant to Milave, or will be manufacturing our own? We'll be setting up our own manufacturing unit in Milave.
Good question. I think they are open to both options. What I would say is, given it's a fairly small market and it's a new market, they'd probably lean towards using scale or capacity from some other production. But if you want to recommend something else, I'm sure they'd be open to that as well.
Sound good. Okay. I think I have what I need. Let me take a couple of moments to gather my thoughts, and then we can walk it together.
Sounds great. Thanks, Parth.
Looking for consulting firms that are hiring can be like trying to find a needle in a huge haystack. That's why we're excited to tell you about Palmtree, a leading M&A advisory and consulting firm that is looking for top talent across its U.S. offices in Los Angeles, Chicago, Detroit, and Dallas. Palmtree is a firm that sits at the intersection of strategy, finance, and analytics. The firm looks like a traditional consulting firm from the outside, but it's much more than that, functioning as a one-stop shop to support private equity clients. Palmtree is the single source for financial consulting and investment banking. If you're looking to develop a unique skill set, receive world-class training, and work for a dynamic firm, apply to Palmtree today. Visit the careers page at palmtreellc.com or click on the link in this episode's show notes. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants.
Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
Okay. I think I'm ready. So, yeah. So, our goal was to understand should we enter this market, and if yes, how should we enter it. I'd like to look at two major things. First thing is internal, which is the company side, and the second side would be external, which is the market and the competition side. Starting with the company side, internals, I'd like to look at two main things. The first one would be revenues, and second one would be costs. In revenues, I'd like to see how many golf courses are would be there which we'll be selling to, and what would be the price to what would be the price we'll be charging for each golf ball. Along with that, if will we be giving any other services, you know. So these kind of things I'd like to see in terms of revenue. And in terms of cost, I again divided into two things. The first would be the if we manufacture, I'm considering that scenario, and the second scenario which I'm considering is we'll be importing it. So I'll start with the manufacturing first. If we are going to manufacture, I'd like to see how much would be the investment cost and how much we are willing to pay for the investment. And the next thing would be the setup of the factories and the machineries to manufacture. And the next thing would be the fixed costs such as rent, labor, salaries, and overheads. And the last thing would be the variable cost, that would be cost of goods, you know. So these all things
Okay.
comes under manufacturing. And while in the importing side, I'd like to know how much would it cost us to import each golf ball. Along with that, yeah, and the network, what do we say? The network which will be setting up for importing and distributing our golf balls. So I'd like to see that costs along with that. And that's about it in the internal side. In the external side, which is little bit market specific, I'd like to first see talk about little competition. I'd like to see, do we have any competition in this? Are there existing players currently in Milwaukee? And how many golf courts do we have, if we have done a market research in that? And are we seeing any trend that people are using these services more than earlier they used to do? So if we have any information on that side, that would be really helpful for us to decide. And the last thing would be about the market itself. Since we know that the GDP is $200 per capita, I believe it is fairly very less. And in my opinion, it is a not so rich country, maybe. And I'd like to see how many people there would be able to afford our services, because golf is not what do you say? Usually not regular household income people would be able to afford playing golfs, in my opinion. But I'd like to see do we have any information on what would be our total addressable market? And yeah, that's about it. So if you don't have a preference, I'd like to start with the market and the competition side. So in order to decide whether we would be able to, is Milwaukee already actually a good market for us to invest or not?
Yeah, great. Makes sense. Thank you for outlining your approach to this analysis, Parth. So indeed, as you've said, I think one of the critical things to start with is the size of the market. So we don't have the size of the market, but we do have a little bit of data on the number of people playing golf and their habits. So potentially this is data you can use. So the Royal Malawi Golf Association has 100,000 registered members. And there are also tourists and casual players who basically we have about 150,000 of them who appear to be playing golf each year. There are a total of 205 golf courses in Malawi. And for registered members, it appears they play about one game per week, and they lose one ball on average each game. And for the unregistered members, it appears they play about 12 games a year and they lose about 5 balls per game. And so you can assume that if a ball is lost, it will need to be replaced.
Okay. I think I missed some parts, so let me recap for you so that we both are at same page. So we have about 100,000 regular members at Royal Millway Golf Club, and 50,000 people who are casual who play around 12 games a year. So we have total about 150,000 people playing.
That number was 150,000. So 100,000 registered members and
Yeah.
150,000 casual players.
Okay. Understood. 150,000 casual players, 100,000 regular players, and regular players play one game per week
That's right.
and lose about one ball for each game, each day.
That's right. Each
Day.
game, yes, each game.
Okay, each game, one ball per game. And the casual players play about 12 games a year and lose about 5 balls per game.
12 games per year and 5 balls per game, yes.
Okay. So in terms of number of balls lost, I'd like let me do some math over here. Okay, we have 100,000. So I'm assuming we'll be open all 52 weeks in a year.
Yes, let's assume that.
Okay. Understood. So we have about each of the plays, so we have 100,000 per week and 100,000 balls lost per week. So multiplying it by 52, which makes it around 5.2 million balls lost per year for regular players. And for casual players, they play about 12 games a year, so making it around 1.8 million people playing games a year, and on an average 5 balls are lost, so it makes it around 9 million balls lost for casual players. So in total, we are losing, the Royal Millway Golf Club is losing around 14.2 million balls every year. Okay. From the looks of this data, I feel like it could be a good market for us to invest, but I'd like to even more see about how much we'll be charging for our balls and how much would it cost for us, to actually run these operations in Millway.
Yeah, makes sense. Let me just sort of see what data we have here. So there's one additional piece of data, which is effectively the competition here. So now that you know the market size, what we know about the competition is the market is currently supplied by 3 suppliers.
Okay.
So there are 2 local entrepreneurs. They're importing balls from China.
Okay.
And there's one American supplier called Callaway that imports from the US. And the market is split between these 3 players. So each have about a 1/3 market share.
Okay.
What do you think about the structure of the market and the strategic issues here?
One imports from US. Okay. So the important thing to note about from this information is right now all the 100% of this demand is being met by mainly 3 suppliers, only 3 suppliers. 2 of the suppliers import from China and 1 of them imports from US. So I'm thinking that the 2 two suppliers who are importing from China, they'd be charging considerably less amount. They'll be charging considerably very less for each golf ball. But as and the one from US, I'd say the ball would be of higher quality, or no. I think it doesn't make sense for quality, but yeah. So it's okay. We have three suppliers. We are The demand is being met. So the one issue which we'll be facing, in my opinion, would be where we are importing from. Yeah, I think so. And the price would be a second factor which we want to look at while entering this market. And since these guys are meeting the demand and will be entering as a third person, then you know disrupting the market in some kind of way, the competition will not take it very lightly, and we'll have to go an extra mile in order to capture the market, such as we'll give promotional discounts, or we can give about wholesale discount rates. We'll have to do something extra mile. That's what comes to my mind.
Okay. Got it. Now, what's the next thing you would like to look at?
Okay, since I'd like to look at how much the competition charges for each golf ball. Do we have any information on that?
We do. So Callaway, which is the American supplier, is selling each ball at 75 cents.
Okay.
The others are a lower quality ball,
Okay.
priced at 60 cents per ball. We are comparably of a slightly higher quality than Callaway.
Mm-hmm.
And our marketing department is estimating that we can enter the market at a price of 78 cents per ball.
Okay. So our price could be 0.78. Okay. So we have a higher quality ball. That means we can actually we have a really good shot at entering the market, because China, we can give a tough competition to China, to importers from China. So let me do some math real quick over here. So we have about we have about 4 point. Okay. I have a real quick question over here. So we have three importers. We have three major competitors, and will they be is their market share equal in terms of all three of them?
That's right. It's about 33% each.
Yeah, so it is about 4.7 million balls for per competitor. I'm guessing that, and I'll be multiplying that with 0.75 for US and zero point 0.6 for two of the competitors. So which
Yep.
makes it around. So the US competitor is charging, the sales for US competitor Callaway would be 3.52 million US dollars, and so sales for two Chinese competitors would be 4.72. Sorry. It would be around $2.8 million for each competitors.
Now, we've had some additional information come in as well from our accounting department. So As previously mentioned, we're estimating that we can sell at a price of 78 cents per ball, which you can also recommend on. The cost of producing the ball, so direct materials, are 22 cents per ball. The labor cost is 15 cents per ball. And other variable costs, including all logistics, etc., are 16 cents per ball. And then we estimate that to set up an office in Malawi, we'll have to pay a country manager $4,000 per month.
Okay.
We'll have to pay $5,000 per month in rent and other fixed costs. And each salesperson costs $2,400 per month. One salesperson can service 40 golf courses. And as you'll recall, there are around 205 golf courses in Malawi.
Yeah. I think I missed some information over here. So, each salesperson would charge how much for their month?
$2,400.
$2,400, and our requirement would be around 5 salespeople.
I mean, that's assuming we would want to cover all golf courses in the country. So that is a commercial decision you could also recommend on.
Okay, no problem. And let me do one thing over here. I should calculate the total cost which would be incurred by us over the years, and then we can set up a target maybe. But yeah, and just to set a baseline over here, I'd like to see what kind of sales projections are we expecting.
Okay. We don't have any estimates on that, but obviously you have information on the size of the market. So what kind of market share do you think we could get?
Considering we have a higher quality golf balls, I think our major competitor would be China. Two Chinese competitors would be, yeah, the numbers would I be projecting, which is about what is it, 9.4 million golf balls. I'm directly competing these two against us.
Okay. Do you think that's fair? Because do you think we will be appealing to the same customer as the Chinese manufacturers, or do you think we'll be more appealing to the same customer as the premium manufacturer?
Yeah, I think you're right. We'll be more appealing towards the Callaway. I think, yeah, it totally makes sense that Callaway being our direct competition. So I'll again consider 4.7 million balls as just a baseline, to set the calculations. So, okay. What do we have in here? We have
I guess one more question on that, which is, would you assume that we would take 100% of the market share that they have? So if they're currently selling 4 point something million balls, would you assume that we can replace them for all those balls or only part of those?
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll be taking like 50% of the people which we can cater to. So again, that comes down to $2.35 million, 2.35 million balls. So sounds
perfect.
good. Sounds good. Yeah, we have 16, 22, 15. Okay. 7. So it leaves us, after taking out logistics, cost of goods and labors, it leaves us around 25 cents per golf ball in gross profit. And if I multiply this by 2.35, which makes it around, wait a second, 2.34. Okay. Okay. So, considering that we'll be achieving 2.35 million we'll be selling 2.35 million golf balls every year. Our annual gross profit would be around 480,000 US dollars, and out of which I'm taking out let me just multiply. And yeah, one more thing. So I'm thinking about since we have 3 competitions, so we have 5 total golf courses, and out of which it is being distributed by all, it is being managed by all 3 competitors, right? So it'll be like I think my rough calculation says only one salesperson would be enough for us in order to capture the sizable market. So let me do the monthly calculations over here, which is like rent is 5,000, setup and office would be $12,000 a month. Okay, which makes it 17,000. We have each salesperson taking about 2,400. So that makes it around $19.4 thousand every month. Let me see if I'm missing. No. So we have about $19.4 thousand in.
Let's make it 20,000. Let's round it to 20,000.
Yeah, sure. So we have about $20,000 in expense every month, which makes it around $240,000 in expense yearly. So overall, we'll be making a profit of $240,000 in each year.
Okay, perfect. So the CEO of Titleist has just approached your desk, and he wants to know, what do you think about this Malawi thing? What should I do?
His strategy simplified. It's Japheth here, your producer, and I really quickly wanted to pop in to tell you about Black Belt. So if you're targeting a consulting role at a firm like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Deloitte, Oliver Wyman, Accenture, you name it, Black Belt is a structured case prep program that might be exactly what you need to push you over the hump and land that offer. So it is a structured case coaching program where you'll get one-on-one coaching from a former McKinsey, Bain, or BCG consultant. You'll also get a year of free access to our new community for exclusive employer info sessions, training, master classes, community support, and much more. Last but not least, you get unlimited digital materials to support your case prep progress. Oh, and by the way, over 80% of Black Belts who complete the program land a consulting role. That's pretty incredible. So we'd love to see you inside of Black Belt. Join at the link in the show notes.
Hey, it's Ian with Management Consulted, your favorite go-to gal for anything and everything MC. I'm so excited to share with you today something really special. I don't know if you know this, but I provide 15-minute meetings for candidates who are looking for recruitment support. I can help you strategize and plan out how you're going to navigate through your recruitment season and exactly how MC can help you. In that meeting, we can review your resume and I can provide you some industry insights tailored to your specific background. And maybe, just maybe, I can sprinkle just a little bit of hope in there as well. I'd be excited to connect with you when you're ready to explore personalized coaching support, so feel free to book a meeting with me through the link in the show notes today.
So, our goal was to determine whether we should enter the Milave market, and if yes, how do we enter that? After doing some maths and understanding the data, we found out that it is a good investment, and I would recommend our client to enter the Milave market for certain reasons. Mainly, we have a premium golf ball, and we can compete against the major US competitor Callaway, and assuming that we'll be taking 50% of the share from Callaway as a competition, so we'll be selling around 2.35 million balls every year, and removing our profits and extra costs which we incur, we'll be making around $240,000 in profits every year. Although, from the looks of this number, the investment looks great, but there are some risks we need to consider, such as for the first and the foremost risk comes to my mind is we are just assuming we'll be taking 50% of the market share from the US competitor. I think that not might be true, and if the number goes even lower, then we won't be able to be profitable in general. And the second thing is, our ball is in the premium category, so we can't. And the major competition in the Milave are Chinese competitors, so they are still taking most of the share, and I'm really not sure about the market for the premium balls. Will it be increasing over time, or will the market be decreasing? If it decreases, then we stand a chance of losing the money. So, for the next steps, which I'd like to advise our client to take, would be the first thing would be conduct a thorough market research about the premium golf ball category, and do a little bit of deep dive on the US competitions. And the other thing which I'll like to advise my client would be to start very small in terms of coming to the market. And right now we only have one major golf course, which is Royal Milave Golf Course. So we should be taking around we should be doing a thorough market research and then entering it on limited number of quantity basis. So that would ensure that we are doing good or not. That's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Parth. How do you feel about the case?
It was good. And the one thing which I think I lacked in was I took too much time in the math because the numbers were very long. And yeah, this is the one thing which has been problem for me, was that I kind of struggle at the end giving the risks and the next steps part. So yeah, that was pretty evident by me as well.
Got it. No worries. Just being conscious of time, I'll give about 5 minutes of feedback. This section would normally be probably 20 minutes, but we need to leave some time with questions, and we have some intros at the start. So going through it, look, overall, you did a good job. I think there are some definite strengths and weaknesses. I think you're good at numbers overall. I think you're quite good at driving the case along. So that's a very good skill to have. I think you sometimes didn't catch all the information, which is something to watch out, but you were generally careful to recap. I think you can sometimes take a little bit more time to develop your kind of hypothesis or structure things out in subsections. So we'll go through kind of feedback section by section, and kind of a high level score for each. So in terms of recap, overall you did a good job, but you got a few things wrong, and that happens. But you mentioned that the GDP was $200 million, whereas it was $200 per capita, and you missed the second thing, which was not just should we enter the market, but how. That's very important, because that probably necessitates you to also think about the go-to-market strategy and not just do the analysis, right? So very careful to catch that. So overall, this section is like a 2 out of 4. It probably needs some work. My advice to you on the recap is try and write everything down, not precisely, but in bullet points, and try and tell me back as close to what I said as possible, because it gives me confidence that you heard everything. So that would be my advice then. Your clarifying questions overall were pretty good. What is the business model? Are there any specific objectives? How are they going to manufacture? What I would encourage you to do is whenever you ask a question, add a hypothesis to it. So say, could you just clarify a little bit about Titleist's business model for me? I'm assuming that, they might sell through retailers, also through distributors and online, but I'd love you to let me know if there's one specific channel they use more than others, or if this skews in a certain way. That tells me that you understand the potential business models rather than that you're just asking me a question. Likewise, for specific objectives, can you tell me if there are any specific objectives? I'm guessing the client wants to be profitable and also potentially to gain a certain amount of market share, but I'm curious as to whether there are specific numbers they're looking for that I could factor into my analysis. So try and have like a hypothesis or sort of a stake in the sand that will always make you sound smart and knowledgeable. So that would be my advice there. I gave you 3 out of 4 on the clarifying questions, but it would be good to kind of take a bit of a stance there. You took a little bit long on the structure, so about 4 minutes. Typically, you need to get this down to about 2. It's fine to take 3 or 4 while you're learning, but try and cut that down over time. For your structure itself, I think there's a lot of room to improve here. I gave you about a 2 out of 4. Internal and external is often a good way to think about structures. However, a couple of things. So your internal really focused on revenue and costs, and you broke those down very well into their component parts, but you missed a lot of more qualitative things. So for instance, what are the company's capabilities? Can they run an operation in Malawi? Will they have active management on the ground? How will they manufacture? And also how will they distribute? How will they market, etc.? These are all internal things that aren't purely numbers. They're kind of qualitative things and would be very useful to consider. I think externally, you got things generally right. I would encourage for a market entry, a structure which kind of probably has 3 or 4 or 5 buckets. Typically, I look at the market first as a bucket. And then I look at the 3 C's are always helpful. So company, customer, competition. You may also want to have financials or risks. You could bake competition under market as well. So that's one thing you could do to reduce the competition bucket. So you have market and competition under market. You have company, which has your quantitative and qualitative things, which you put for internal. You may then have customer. You may have financials or risks. So I can send you a framework later that you could use for this, but I would encourage you to have 4, maybe 5 buckets. Start with the market, start with the company for a market entry. And for the internal, which is effectively the company, make sure you have all those qualitative things I mentioned as well. So as I said, this was kind of a 2 out of 4. I think you need to work on it and make sure, probably use more buckets, and make sure you're also covering the qualitative things under your internal or company, like distribution, etc. The market sizing exercise, I think you overall did pretty well. You seem very comfortable with numbers. You intuitively grasped what you needed to calculate, and you did it very well. One thing I would really encourage you to do, well, a couple of things. You recapped the numbers that I gave you, which was good. I would encourage you to always ask for 30 seconds to structure your thoughts and write down the math you're going to do, write down the headlines on paper, and talk me through the equation you're going to do before you actually do the numbers. Similar to what you're doing in the structure, this gives me an opportunity to kind of react to what you're doing before you get lost in the numbers. So that's number 1. Number 2 is always walk me through every number you're calculating. So don't just kind of go silent, calculate the maths, and then read me back the number. Always take me through every step. I'm going to take the number of balls times the number of players times this. And if I multiply 50 times 1 times 100,000, I get 5 million. And that's what this number is. That allows you to kind of go back a step if you've made a mistake. It also allows me to see where you're going wrong. And if you're getting 90% of things right, but you still make a mistake, I can still give you the benefit of the doubt or correct you a little bit. I think you're a little bit weaker on the kind of market share stuff. Here again, I would take 30 seconds and I would write a structure and a list, right? So like write headlines, pricing, differentiation, and distribution potentially. So we're more expensive than our competition, which is potentially a disadvantage. However, we're differentiated because we're a premium product, but on distribution, we may not have the advantage. We may be weaker. So I'd encourage you to kind of extrapolate on that more. On the maths, so on the P&L, I think you overall did a good job. Again, try and structure it, walk me through the equation you're going to do, and talk me through every number. I think your assumption that we would take, first 100% of Callaway's market share and then 50% is a little much. We don't have the distribution, so that's something I'd want to stress test. And it's something I'd want you to recognize and sort of say, I've made this assumption, but it might be too much. We'd really need to think about how we do our distribution in order to do this. I'm just going to breeze through so we leave a few minutes for questions, although there's more feedback I could give you offline. Overall, summary was decent. I would get to the answer quicker, so always answer first. My recommendation is that we enter this market 3 or 4 supporting points. It looks like it's highly profitable. We'll make $250,000 a year. Our revenue will be X. We have the most premium product in the market. We've assessed the competition and we appear to be doing better than them. A key risk here could be our ability to get distribution. Next steps will be market research, et cetera, which I think you highlighted well. A couple of things. I would try and be more succinct. So write down your summary, take 30 seconds, write it down in bullet points so that you're really going through it very fast rather than talking too much. So answer, which is 5 words, a bullet, 3-4 bullet points, each with 2 to 3 words, which is the data you found in the case, a couple of bullet points for each of risks and next steps. I think it also would have been great. There are some other creative things you could have caught, like potentially we don't need to, hire a team in country. Maybe we could actually approach the entrepreneurs who are currently selling the Chinese balls and ask them, to exclusively market our balls because our balls are better, for instance. Maybe there could be some other partnership or joint venture opportunities that could allow us to reduce our fixed costs, get better distribution quicker, and enter the market with less risk. But overall, a very good job. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to another case interview demonstration. If you liked it, found value in it, we'd love your rating and review. It helps tell the algorithm that people are enjoying the show and promotes it to more people. So it helps us out in ways that you don't even know. In addition, follow us on social media. We've got daily updates on all things consulting. So make sure to check us out on TikTok, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and wherever else that you have your social media accounts. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you on another episode of Strategy Simplified shortly.